Hi everyone, and welcome to Jane Talks Real. It's Slayer Sunday, where I'll be talking about and reviewing all the episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer in order. Today I'm looking at Season 3, Episode 11, Gingerbread. We begin the episode with Buffy and a weird sound jump. Joyce is here with snacks. Aww, and she wants to see Buffy slaying. So good job a vampire is here to oblige. And Joyce recognises him.
It's Mr. Sanderson from the bank.
When Mr. Sanderson runs away, Buffy goes after him, leaving Joyce alone in the park. And while Buffy dusts Sandy Boy, Joyce makes a horrifying discovery. And into the credits we go. The coroner shows up, and we and Joyce get a prolonged look at these dead kids. Jeez! They've both got symbols on their hands, and after talking to the police, Buffy has to console a very distressed Joyce. Buffy draws out the symbol for Giles, and he concludes that these kids were victim of a ritual sacrifice.
Someone with a soul did this?
Buffy is pissed that it wasn't a monster she can kill, and she wants Giles to find out who's responsible. Xander is super jittery at lunch because he has to sit with Oz, and Amy is also here. Oz mentions Buffy's birthday, but that won't come into play until next episode, and besides, Buffy is here, so hush up and let her explain last night's events. Joyce is suddenly here, wanting an update. And can parents just wander into school like that? When Buffy mentions ritual, Joyce jumps to witches, which alarms both Willow and Amy, so Buffy drags her away. Joyce reveals that she's called everyone she knows to help with the investigation, which is a lot of people, including Willow's mum Sheila in her only appearance. She starts to go on a tirade about witches, but Mayor Dick takes to the stage, and he says all the usual bullshit politician junk before calling Joyce up, and she basically says he's full of shit and this town is a dump. She's not wrong. She lists off all the dodgy stuff that's happened and how it's covered up.
Silence is this town's disease.
And she outs the whole Slayer thing, although she doesn't mention Buffy specifically. We see some witchy stuff going on, and it's Amy and, oh hey Willow, nice symbol. The next day, bullies beat on some poor dude, but they sod off when Buffy cuts in, and Cordelia points out that associating with witches is going to lead to trouble. Giles confirms that witches did indeed murder those kids, but he needs evidence in a book that Willow borrowed, so Buffy goes to get it, only to find the symbol smack bang in the middle of Willow's notebook. Before she can explain, a ruckus draws them to Snyder and the police raiding everyone's lockers, and kids are led away, including Amy. Willow starts stressing because her locker is up next, and she tries to plead her innocence, but too late, she's taken too, and Oz goes with her. Next on the hit list is the library, and Giles is furious with Snyder, but he has the perfect comeback.
Lift a finger against me and you'll have to answer to Moo.
Moo stands for Mothers Opposed to the Occult, although motto makes much more sense, founded by Joyce herself. Willow gets home and tries to explain witchcraft to her mom, but she thinks she's delusional and grounds her. But Willow acts up, yelling spell nonsense at the ceiling until her mum tells her off and forbids her from seeing Buffy.
You will not speak to Bunny Summers again.
Close enough, Sheila. Meanwhile, Joyce wants Buffy to not see Willow anymore. And Buffy realises that she was responsible for the locker raid and Giles' books being confiscated. Wait, they took kids away for having magic stuff but left Buffy alone who keeps weapons in her locker? Come to think of it, Giles keeps a fuck ton of weapons in the library, so how is he not arrested now? Anyway, they get into an argument and Joyce points out that no matter how many demons and vampires Buffy kills, more keeps coming. And she's got a point, but Buffy doesn't agree and storms out. Ugh, holy hell! I need to stop reviewing these episodes so late at night. These kids are clearly influencing Joyce's behaviour, but do you want to feel super old? This is what these kids look like now. Buffy meets Angel by the dead kids roundabout, and they mention how weird it is.
It's strange. People die in Sunnydale all the time. I've never seen anything like this.
Buffy takes Joyce's words to heart and decides that she doesn't really make a difference, but Angel tells her that she needs to keep fighting because there's always things worth fighting for. He mentions the kids' parents, and Buffy realises something, so she goes to the library and wants to know who the hell these kids are.
Where do they go to school? Who are their parents? What are their names?
She's got a point, so Oz jumps on the computer and connects up with Willow, who sends through news clippings periodically every 50 years, with the same two children showing up dead, causing different towns to tear themselves apart. The kids are identified as Hans and Greta Strauss. Hold up. Hans and Greta. Hans and Greta. Hansel and Gretel. Turns out that
fairy tales are real.
and hatred against witches over the centuries has been down to these little shits. Willow's mom catches her on the computer and shuts that shit down, finally believing her about witchcraft, but she says something odd and locks her in her room, while Michael bursts into the library, having been attacked, and warns that Amy has been taken and Willow is next. Willow gets cornered by Moo, and when Buffy goes home, her and Giles are chloroformed, which allows Buffy to see the creepy kids. Oz and Xander rush to Willow's only to find they're too late, while Amy and Willow try to shout Buffy awake, and Cordelia uses a more physical approach with Giles. She complains that her mom has confiscated all her black clothing. Cordelia, look what you're wearing. And she makes fun of Giles for how many times he's been knocked out. A running joke in this show.
We need to save Buffy from Hansel and Gretel.
Now, let's be clear. The brain damage happened before I hit you.
Joyce and Sheila decide to make dinner plans before lighting their daughters on fire, and Amy doesn't take it very well and turns herself into a rat to escape her bonds.
She couldn't do us first.
Willow takes the opportunity to threaten them all with magic, and Buffy joins in.
Yeah, you in the back, we'll be fish.
While Cordelia helps Giles put a potion together that will reveal the kids' true form. Oz and Xander crawl through the vents, and as the flames get higher, Joyce tells Buffy this is all her fault. Thanks, Mom. Giles and Cordelia break into the room, with Cordelia assaulting everyone with a hose, while Giles does his little spell, which turns Hansel and Gretel into what the fuck is that?
Okay, I think I like the two little ones more than the one big one.
The mob starts to run as the demon charges Buffy and...
Did I get it? Did I get it?
Yep, you got it.
We're here to save you.
The episode ends with some purple smoke and the girls failing to restore Amy.
Maybe we should get her one of those wheel thingies.
Okay, so all in all, not an episode I particularly enjoy. Creepy kids aren't my thing, and Joyce, along with everyone else, were acting like total ding-dongs, which wasn't particularly fun. I don't really get the mechanics of these kids. I know they're a demon, but what's with the dead kid bodies? I know they do that to cause chaos, but what happens to the bodies? I mean, do they pose as dead and then get up and wander out of the morgue and go and haunt people? Or do they leave their bodies there and then haunt people in spirit? And if so, where do they keep getting all these spare bodies from? And why only once every 50 years? Nothing is explained! The idea of fairy tales being real is a cool concept, and I'd love more of it. But Hans and Greta were from the 1600s, and Hansel and Gretel originated in the 1300s and was published in the 1800s, so it doesn't add up. Despite not liking the episode, it had some fantastic lines in it, too many for me to include in my video, and there were some really good comedic moments too. My favourite part of the episode, however, was Buffy and Joyce's discussion about how much of a difference Buffy is really making. It really does make you think, because Joyce is right. No matter how many bad guys Buffy puts down, more keep coming, and the life of a Slayer really is a sad one. But on the other hand, if Buffy hadn't fought, the world would have ended. Or Sunnydale would have been overrun, just like we saw in The Wish. So, gotta keep fighting the good fight, Buffster. You keep killing those bad guys, and I'll keep counting them. Speaking of which, I tentatively add 2 deaths to the count, because as I said, I'm not sure how the kids work. So we have 1 vampire, Mr. Sanderson from the bank, killed by Buffy, and 1 demon, the Hans and Greta combo, also killed by Buffy. I'm not counting the kids, even though their deaths do spark this whole thing, because they're not really dead? ? A big thank you to regular viewer Graham Nicholas for helping me work out these little demon children. So that brings our running total to 33 humans, 3 transformations, 26 vampires, and 9 demons. So there you have it. That was Gingerbread. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, or come say hi on social media. If you enjoyed this video, then please hit that like button, it really does mean a lot. Or consider subscribing if you want more videos like this one. Thank you so much for watching. I'll speak to you soon, and don't let the vampires bite.